Some of my favorite powder fragrances for men that I think are absolutely fantastic. I'm going to show you 15 fragrances. We're going to check out a lot of different powdery fragrances, from intensely rich and warm powdery scents to fresh powdery scents, epic compliment getters, and more. I will share my thoughts on each fragrance and also why I think it stands out among all the powdery fragrances out there. But before we get started, please drop a like on this video. Thank you, I really do appreciate it, and make sure you subscribe. Let's start with an absolute banger of a compliment getter and one I absolutely love. Le Male Parfum is a powdery vanilla with a sexy dose of cardamom. There's lavender in it as well that creates a bit of contrast, and there's a bit of sweetness in it as well. So Le Male Parfum is definitely not a complex scent in any way, but they absolutely nailed it with how seductive and addictive it is. To me, it's simple, but simple done right, and a fragrance that often gets a compliment. Le Male Parfum has a bit of warmth and depth to it, but its powderiness is not something I feel is overly intense or heavy. And the combo of powderiness and that's sort of a signature Le Male vanilla is a fantastic one. One of my fragrances for life, and definitely among some of the very best powdery fragrances for men. Next up are two powdery fragrances that share the same sort of a DNA, but they are a bit different. Prada L'Homme is all about the combo of powderiness and freshness. A floral and slightly sweet freshness from neroli together with the bright freshness from pepper and the powderiness of iris. Powdery freshness that's prominent but soft. Prada L'Homme is not sharp in any way. The dry down is powdery in a light and sort of a fresh way, and softly woody, and it's got a creamy feel to it with a soft hint of soapiness. This is a mass appealing powder fragrance that I think is perfect for everyday use. Prada L'Homme Intense has a bit more depth to it, and it's definitely not as fresh as the original Prada L'Homme. OG L'Homme is powder and fresh with a light kind of woodiness, whereas the L'Homme Intense has a bit more depth to it with a more prominent woodiness. It also has a bit of ambery warmth, and it's vanillic with leather. I absolutely love both and use them a bit differently because one is more fresh and one has a bit more depth to it. These two stand out from a lot of other powdery fragrances with that sort of a L'Homme DNA and powderiness that I've yet to come across in any other fragrance line. From the powderiness of the L'Hommes to a scent that's woody and powdery in an elegant and sexy way. Narciso Rodriguez for him Bleu Noir Parfum reminds me a little bit of Valentino Uomo Intense, but they are not the same. There are some similarities for sure, but this does not have the vanilla and sweetness of Uomo Intense. For him, Bleu Noir Parfum combines powderiness with woodiness, musk, and a bit of leather that gives it this sexy feeling. I usually wear this when I crave something that's powdery, but something that's not too heavy or sweet. For him, Bleu Noir Parfum stands out with its balanced blend. Works equally well for date nights as for any kind of formal occasions or when going out. Next up, a fragrance I think stands out among powdery fragrances with how incredibly well blended and balanced it is, as well with the airy feel it has. And it's definitely a versatile powdery fragrance that works great as an everyday kind of fragrance and one that works throughout the year. Armani Cold Parfum is powdery, but its powderiness has a sort of an airy quality to it, which is one of the reasons I think it's fantastic. Cold Parfum's opening is all about the refreshing mix of citrusy and aromatic freshness with a bit of light powderiness. The more it dries down, the more it changes into a woody and powdery scent with vanilla at the base. Even though it gets woody with vanilla, and even though it's quite powdery, it never becomes a scent that is too heavy or too intense. This has the Code DNA from Code Eau de Parfum, but made lighter and more sort of an airy with the iris. Code Parfum is absolutely fantastic. It's impossible to talk about the best powder fragrances for men without talking about the Gentleman line from Givenchy. A fantastic line that I think is often overlooked, and I'm gonna talk about two of them. Gentleman Reserve Privé is the warm one, and it's basically a powdery and woody blend with a fantastic touch of something nutty and ambery with a boozy touch. To me, it's almost like a fusion of Dior Homme Intense without the sweetness, without that sort of a lipsticky vibe, and the DNA from the Gentleman line. I know some feel Reserve Privé is intensely lipsticky, but comparing it with other fragrances that are intensely that, I don't feel it is. This stands out among powdery fragrances with its rich powderiness, that Gentleman DNA, and its boozy side. The reason why I chose the EDT Intense as the other one from the line is because this is pretty much the most powdery, fresh, and versatile in the line. Intense spiciness from cardamom together with the signature Gentleman powderiness in a woody blend with a bit of vanilla. Fantastic powder fresh, but a different kind of powder fresh compared to Prada L'Homme, which is even fresher. This stands out among powder fragrances with its versatility and its gorgeous mix of freshness, woodiness and powderiness. Reserve Puree for going out or for special occasions, and the EDT Intense when you want something fresh and powdery. So from the gentleman's to the powderiness of Prada Luna Rosa Black. Luna Rosa Black opens up spicy and vanillic with a dry kind of powderiness and dries down to a mix of vanilla, woodiness and powderiness that's musky and ambery. I think Prada pretty much nailed the combo of powderiness, woodiness and vanilla with this one. Its woody, musky and ambery side creates balance to its powderiness and prevents this from becoming just another powdery vanilla. And I think it stands out with its combo of a dry kind of powderiness, the soft musk and that gorgeous ambery warmth and shine it has. A compliment getter that's great for date nights. From one powdery vanilla to another, they are however very different, and to me it's a powdery scent with a focus on vanilla but with a unique twist thanks to the fruitiness of Maninka. The scent line from Hugo Boss is one that sort of focuses around the fruity Maninka note, and it's really that part in the scent Magnetic that makes it stand out compared to other powdery fragrances. Smooth vanilla, a kind of powderiness that's not heavy or thick, and a bit of sexy fruitiness. The scent Magnetic is a mass appealing compliment getter that's perfect for someone who absolutely loves the combo of powderiness and vanilla. And I think it's among some of the very best in the line. From the scent Magnetic to the one above all. I call it the one above all, but this is Dior Homme Intense. I call it that because it's an absolutely epic scent and one of my fragrances for life. Dior Homme Intense is one of the richest powdery and woody scents a man can wear, and it's a warm, thick and deep kind of powderiness with a dose of musk and a bit of sweetness to it. Dior Homme Intense shares some similarities to Reserve Puree, but I do feel its powderiness is a bit different. The powderiness of Dior Homme Intense, at least to me, is sort of a denser, thicker and more sort of a lipsticky. There's also a difference in the woodiness, and it does not have the booziness of Reserve Puree. I'll reach for Dior Homme Intense for pretty much any occasion. That's how much I absolutely love it. However, it's definitely more of a going out or date night kind of scent, and you will definitely get noticed with it on. I know some hate it, but I think it's an absolute masterpiece, and it's almost a guaranteed compliment getter on date nights. From one epic powdery fragrance to another, and this is the one I call the sex bomb. And pretty much every single time I talk about it, I get someone commenting saying that this is identical to Dior Homme Intense. And sure, there are some similarities, but I do not feel these two are the same. And I probably think it has more in common with Narciso Rodriguez for him Bleu Noir Parfum, but again, these two are not the same either. Whereas Dior Homme Intense leads with its intensely rich powderiness and woodiness, this goes with vanilla and powderiness backed up by a dose of leather. Its powderiness is different, and the overall feel of the two are not the same. And that to me translates into a different wearing experience. Dior Homme Intense is this mix of class and elegance with a bit of sexiness, whereas Homme Intense goes in a less classy but more edgy direction with the leather and sweetness. This thing, when sprayed right, is an epic compliment getter and definitely something for date nights. Next up, something that's quite different and a scent that's pretty much like catnip to me. I can't stop sniffing myself whenever I spray this one on. It's a wicked mix of musk, creamy smooth sandalwood with a fruity and a floral touch. This stands out with a different kind of powderiness compared to a lot of other fragrances, and it's thanks to white musk, which basically gives this a sort of a fresh and clean kind of powderiness. This is when I want a more clean and fresh kind of powderiness, but with a sexy and addictive twist to it. Musk Therapy has a different kind of fresh powderiness compared to Prada L'Homme, Gentleman, EDT Intense and Armani Cold Parfum. From the more fresh powderiness of Musk Therapy to this beast mode compliment getter. This to me opens up with a fizzy kind of ambery and soft powderiness, and it has a rich but smooth kind of spiciness to it and a floral touch. This is powdery, but nowhere near the intense powderiness of fragrances like Dior Homme Intense, Reserve Puree and Homme Intense. The dry run of Gucci Guilty Elixir is pretty much all about a powdery vanilla with patchouli and everything being quite ambery and a bit sweet. It's sort of a fizzy amberiness in the opening, gives me a little bit of Dior Amber Nuit vibes, and parts of it sort of gives me something from Jean Paul Gaultier vibes mixed with Gucci Guilty DNA. It's a flirty, fun and playful scent with fantastic performance, and this has quite a different feel compared to my other powder fragrances. So next up is a powder fragrance I think stands out with its unique fresh scent. Galloway is all about citrusy freshness in a very powdery and musky blend with the floral touch of orange blossom. This is powdery and musky freshness mixed with a gorgeous dose of orange blossom and just the right amount of florals and sweetness. Galloway's powdery and musky freshness and that orange blossom is what makes it stand out if you compare it to a lot of other sort of a freshman's fragrances. If you don't enjoy orange blossom, then stay away. This is definitely for someone who wants a different kind of fresh scent that's powdery. This has grown on me so much since I bought it, and I absolutely love Galloway. Next up, a powder fragrance that stands out with its creamy woodiness and fruity sweetness. Creamy sandalwood with a dose of fig on top of musk and a bit of tonka. Santal Blanc is basically a combination of sweet fruitiness and powderiness with a super smooth dose of sandalwood. Fig is definitely not a common note in fragrances, and it's really the combo of the fig and its powdery and woody side that makes it stand out. Incredibly elegant, different, and to me a fantastic scent that definitely gets noticed. If you love the scent of sandalwood and powder scents and think you would enjoy that combo with fig, then this is definitely worth trying out. So there you go, some of my absolute favorite powdery fragrances. Now I would love to know if you would make like a top 3 of your favorite powdery fragrances, which fragrances would be in it. Like this video, thank you, I really do appreciate it. Make sure you hit that subscribe, make sure you check out the videos over there, and I'll see you in the next one.